Jack Mason, welcome back to Australian Musician.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Do you remember sort of what part of your life where you first became aware of community radio?
Well, it definitely was PBS. It was back when PBS was in St Kilda, which is quite some time ago. And I remember lugging my keyboard or Hammond organ or somewhere, up these stairs at this sort of strange kind of place in Fitzroy Street, which ended up being the PBS studios, and someone else had organized it, and we did a little live to air. And that, from that moment on, I was like, wow, this is what a fantastic sort of spirit. And, these guys are on our side, at the time I was probably, in uni and trying to make ends meet from doing lots of gigs. And so anyone that was happy to promote your gig or put your poster up or, was someone to kind of align with. And so that was probably the first time I started to get to know community radio and PBS. And then sort of not long after that, obviously a bunch of other community radio stations, 3RRR and others. And I guess also that started my association or understanding of or who a lot of the presenters were that were kind of in my genre, and in my wheelhouse. So, and over time, met those people, and that was a big way of how I started kind of my PBS association and kind of feeling like I was part of that family.
Yeah, as well as being a handy promotional tool for artists. What do you get out of the station as a music fan?
Well, as a music fan, taking my artist hat off, there's the PBS plays music that I love that I can't get curated like that many other places. I mean, with the internet, there is obviously opportunities abroad that you can go and find, but locally, there's not many places that I could find that style of music and the way that it was curated, especially with local content. So that's probably one of the big things, from my appreciation hat. That's where I could get it, so I went there.
Yeah. Do you remember the first time you heard your music on the radio, on community radio?
Yes, I think I was driving in my car, and one of the soul shows probably played a Cookin On 3 Burners track or something like that. And, it was a massive buzz, it's you ring up everybody or you text everybody and say, hey, tune in, it's on, so it was a big buzz, that's for sure.
Yeah. I imagine you've done live to airs with PBS. So what kind of thing, or what does a band get out of something like that?
I mean, it's a great forum to connect with your fans, obviously. And because, a lot of the bands that I play in the music really, and the shows that support that on PBS is just like a beautiful match. And so I guess from that perspective, it's the glue, between artists who, traditionally, and pretty much most of us, we're not great at marketing, we're not promotional people, we're artists that make music. And so having this wonderful structure like PBS, it joins, music lovers of similar interests together, and that's really important. And so when we're doing a live to airs, we would tend to, they'd be because we had a big album launch coming up, or we were supporting the station for, radiothon, or it was usually some kind of event that's made us bring together for that. So it was always quite a, exciting time and great. It's like, it's a gig really, and being able to play usually in a slightly haphazard way, especially in the early days at PBS, you might be just sort of all setting up around the announcing desk and the microphone just swings around and off you go. And that's also kind of fantastic. It's just this sort of, warts and all kind of approach. And, but it's live and the people that are listening can really tell it's live. It's not sort of, something that's been agonized over and super overproduced, because I guess if they want that, they can go and go buy your record, So to have that off the cuff, and you just never know quite what was going to happen. You know, there was always some sort of chaos. I do remember one of the early live to airs was when I met Renee Gayer for the first time. So Pierre Baroni had teed us up to back Renee on his show for a live to air. And so basically went into the studio, set up our instruments, and then met Renee for the first time. And then, you know, we did a couple of tunes with her, which was, you know, that was all through Pierre Baroni's show and PBS. And that was such a, you know, wonderful meeting of music, and also, you know, horrifying at the same time, because it was kind of pretty off the cuff, you know.
Yeah, that's the thing about stations like PBS. The presenters really are hardcore music fans, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. You know, they don't do it to get a wage. They do it because they love it, and they love the music and love the community spirit, and you know what being a presenter is. I think it's really important.
Cookin On Three Burners tours internationally. You've got a good following in Europe. But when you go overseas, do you tune into radio over there? Do you find anything similar to the community radio that we have in Melbourne?
I wouldn't say I've found anything quite like, you know, the community radio we have in Melbourne, but that's definitely, you know, one of the first places we go, or even from here, you know, to try to connect with our audience, because, you know, more often not, you can get in touch with the person that runs the show, and you have a direct communication. And I think that sort of, I guess, boutique sort of style or niche style works really well. I mean, a lot of the bigger radio stations, you know, you just don't have that direct to broadcaster kind of connect. You know, you might speak to their producer, which is still fine, but when you're both, you know, besotted with soul music from 1966, you know, it's the perfect kind of way to chat and get along, you know. So having that connect is really important. And yes, as I said, we haven't really found anything quite like PBS anywhere else. There are definitely some similar stations that definitely, when you go overseas, massive supporters of touring and the music as well.
Yeah. You're just back from Blues on Broadbeach. How was that?
Oh, it was fantastic. Although it was very wet. We were lucky enough, our first show, it only just sprinkled rain, but the next day on the Saturday, there was, I don't know, 40 mils of rain or something, and had to sort of pump water out of the audience area. And, you know, it was a little moist, but what a great, you know, festival. And it's pretty exciting that, I guess, you know, officially festivals are back on for the last few months, or, you know, this year at least, because we've all been missing them so much. So it was great to go up there, and we sort of felt relatively normal again.
Yeah. You also recently played the APRA Awards with some great artists. Tell me about that performance.
Yeah, look, that was pretty exciting, actually. To play at the APRA Awards is definitely one of my all-time sort of bucket list things to have done. You know, it's a pretty prestigious thing to have done. So we were very chuffed to get asked, and we played the Midnight Oil song First Nations, which was up for Song of the Year. APRA always have a different band to perform the top nominees of Song of the Year. And it's always quite a flip. So, you know, you can imagine that we sort of swapped the rock for the soul in that song. It was great. And there's a lot of other artists that we worked with in that performance. So yeah, pretty excited to have done it. And unfortunately for me, I think I probably picked up the spicy virus there or something like that. So I was down and out for a week or two afterwards, but great memories, so nonetheless.
Yeah. The World is Cold is the current single. Where are you at with the next recording?
Look, we are, you know, very much primed for more stuff in the studio. We've been thwarted a couple of times with our schedule. A lot of the time, actually, for exciting other projects, you know, and because it has been very much a no gig situation. You know, if something comes up, we're always, easily distracted. But you know, we were wonderfully distracted in January and February, where we worked with this fantastic French artist, Fefe, for the So Frenchy, So Chic festival. And you know, that originally was our scheduled studio time to, you know, record a whole bunch of new tunes for another record. But I think it's going to be a hibernated winter in the studio for us, which is absolutely fine as well. So yeah, look, it is pretty much imminent where the red light will start flashing. So we're pretty keen on that too.
And we'll just finish up by saying why people should support PBS during Radio Week.
Oh, well, I mean, as I said before, that is PBS is the glue between the artists and the audience, and a beautiful way to kind of bring, especially niche genres that you know aren't in the mainstream, to the fore. Really, it's very accessible, and it's just a wonderful community spirit. I mean, I've been involved with PBS for such a long time now because of that beautiful spirit. You know, everyone's in there because of the music. They're in there because of the way that it brings everybody together. And sure, there's the natural promotional marketing things that it does, but there's a whole lot more to that, you know, from just the wonderful personalities that work there to the events that they put on. It really just is the perfect way to bring the community together, and especially through the pandemic was a bit of a lifeline for a lot of people. So they can only keep going if they get the support from their listeners and the wider community. So dig deep into your pockets and become a member, and be part of the party.
All right, Jake, it's been great to catch up. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Fantastic. Wonderful.